All right, before we print to PDF, let's add a couple finishing touches, but this will also be a review of just a few of the many things that we went over in these video lessons so far. So for example, if you wanted to add a border to these, how would you do that? Well, there are a couple different ways, but one way is to click this and hold Shift and click those two as well so they're all selected. Then down on the bottom of the Tools panel, let's double click that. I'm going to set that to white for this example, make it a little bit larger so we can see it, almost like it looks like photos on a spread there. This one it didn't have it applied to. Let's go ahead and do that one as well. I think that one wasn't selected. And let's go to 8 points. There we go. Now again, this one is behind this one. We don't want that. We want this one on top. So how would you do that? Well, the shortcut, Control Shift and then right bracket will bring it to the front, or we're going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front. That looks pretty good. And we can edit this text if needed. Just click and drag over it and then change a font, size if needed, and so on. Now up here, this Wi-Fi available, let's go ahead and move both of those a little bit away from the edge, not just for effective proximity, some breathing room around the edges, but also in case we are printing it and not just using it in a digital format, we want to move some vital text away from the edge like that, inside the margins, or at least a little bit in there. Now as far as this effect goes, let's go ahead and bring this over. Let's just add a design here. I'm going to use this as well, but I'm going to press W to toggle that off again. Instead of having a transparent effect or a blending effect, let's just go to Window and then Effects and just set that to normal for this example. And let's add some text. So if you remember, we use the Type tool, click and drag, and we need something that'll really grab attention to what this lunch special is about, assuming this would be a poster that's on the wall outside this cafe. So let's type buy one, get one, and then free. And let's press Control A to select all of that, or Command A on the Mac. And I'm just going to make this a little bit larger here. And then this one, let's make actually, maybe, let's see, let's try 65 looks good. That kind of lines up right there, those three together. This is a little bit farther away than I'd like though, those other two. And let's click and drag around this bottom line here. Instead of 78 points, which is the auto setting for 65 points here, let's just change that. 36 is not enough. Let's try 60. That looks pretty good. Let's change the font though. So I'm going to click and drag over that, and we'll just type one in. We'll just type in Impact. And let's select the selection tool right here. And here's another tip. Instead of just clicking and dragging on the side, where we're just adjusting the text frame size, if you hold Control, just like an image, click and drag the corner here, and then hold Shift to maintain the original width to height proportion, we can actually resize those. So there's a little bit too much space here between these top two after we resized it. So if we click and drag around just the words here, and we have the auto leading set to that, let's bring that down a little bit, and you'll notice it doesn't move it at all. Now we can make it larger and it'll move, but below what the auto setting is, it won't affect. So why is it doing that? Well, let's problem solve. What we need to do is hold Shift and then right arrow and just this space right here, because we didn't have the entire line selected, it wasn't letting us make it smaller. So I'm going to click that, and now it lets us make it smaller than the auto setting. So I think a little bit, something like that works pretty well. Let's adjust this one as well on the bottom here, a little bit lower. There we go. So that has consistent spacing. And this font actually, let's make it a little bit larger so it is aligned more with the one above it. So once we have it how we want, with the consistent spacing between the lines and different font sizes so it aligns on the side, and we'll be going over more advanced text editing, including outlining text, in the next project. But once we have it how we want, let's go ahead and change the color here. So I'm going to click and drag around this with the Type tool, or just press Control or Command A to select it all. And let's just change this color to white. And I'm going to just put it on top of this over here. And I'll make this a little bit larger. Just hold Shift to maintain that same proportion. And I'm going to add this graphic back in, and it's behind that other thing, right? So Control, Shift, right bracket brings it to the top as far as the arrange menu goes, and we can put it right there. Let's press W to see how it looks so far. That's good. And we can add a little bit more stylizing. For example, here we could add a stroke to this example. We can actually go to swatches and just set that to cyan for now. I'll make that 10 points. We can't see the other edge of it because that's off the page. So I could actually drag that over just to make sure it's not on the bleed either. So this previews what it'll look like. So there's some consistency in color between there with the blue. And if we wanted to add a little bit more interest here, we could use the pen tool. Click, click and drag, click and drag. Just something in the background here. Control Shift left bracket to bring it in the back. And then for the fill, let's just make it yellow for this example. And notice it's behind the background though, so we just need to press Control or Command right bracket, so it just goes up one layer. And let's get rid of that stroke. We can set it to 0 or just set none. And then there we go, we're ready to print. So how do we print this? Well, we're going to be going over more advanced printing with our next project. If we wanted to print this, we could just go to File, Print, and then set the size of the paper to tabloid, 11 by 17 inches. And we can include the document bleed settings if we want that we have from earlier, which is 0.25 inches. And we'll be going over more advanced printing considerations in the next project. For now, we're just going to print it to a PDF for this project. So just go to File, Export. We could go to File, Print, and print to PDF, but that's really the older way of printing PDFs. We can export it and it's a lot better. So for this, we don't need to do interactive. The lookbook will be interactive, so we'll need to indicate PDF interactive for that project. But for this one, let's just go to Adobe PDF and then click Save. And then from here, it's only one page, so we can keep all selected, that's fine. We can go to compression, and if we want our images to be compressed down, if it's just for the web, we could bring that down even to 72, but if it's for a print context, at least 150 pixels per inch or even higher, for example 300 pixels per inch, but it makes it a smaller file if we bring that down. If this is just for online media, you could bring it down to 150 pixels per inch or even at 72, just to see what it looks like at 100% view after we export it to PDF. As far as marks and bleeds, we can use the document and bleed settings for this, and we could print the PDF then to a printer later, and so could a printer. So after we have the settings how we want them, click Export. See an animation right here where it's telling us a background task is going on. So I'll click it here, and there's our final project. Press Control or Command minus to zoom out a little bit, and there's our poster. So yours may not look exactly like this, and that's fine, but this project was basically to introduce you to settings for placing and editing images, shapes, objects, frames, text frames, and paths. So go ahead and spend some more time customizing this so you can add it to your portfolio, and I'll see you in the next project, which is a lookbook.